My child, pause here for a moment, because what you are about to hear was not placed before you by accident. Do not move past this message too quickly. Something happened today, something quiet on the outside but powerful beneath the surface, and the one connected to your heart has been carrying a warning they can no longer keep inside. They have replayed the moment again and again. They have questioned what they saw, what they heard, and what they suddenly understood. Now their spirit is pressing them to reach you before you make a decision without knowing the full truth. This is not a message of fear. Heaven does not bring you here to frighten you. It brings you here to awaken your discernment, because there are moments when protection does not arrive as a closed door. Sometimes protection arrives as a feeling you cannot explain, a delay you did not expect, a conversation that suddenly changes direction, or a person revealing more than they intended. Today, one of those moments unfolded, and your soulmate witnessed something that shifted the way they see the situation surrounding you. They did not expect it. They were moving through the day believing everything was ordinary. Their mind was occupied with familiar responsibilities, unanswered questions, and the quiet ache they rarely admit they still carry for you. Then, in the middle of an ordinary moment, your name entered a conversation. It may not have been spoken directly at first. It may have appeared through a reference, a memory, a question, or a comment from someone who did not realize how closely your soulmate was listening. But the instant they understood that the conversation was connected to you, something inside them became completely alert. Stay with this message, because the first thing they heard was not the warning itself. It was only the doorway. Someone around them mentioned a recent change in you. They spoke as though they knew what you were thinking, what you were planning, or what direction you were about to take. Your soulmate remained silent. They did not want anyone to know how deeply the words affected them. They listened carefully, hiding the sudden tension in their chest, because the person speaking seemed unusually confident. Too confident. They described you as though your next move had already been decided. But your soulmate knew something the others did not. They knew your silence had often been misunderstood. They knew that when you pull back, it does not always mean you have stopped caring. Sometimes it means you are observing. Sometimes it means you are protecting your peace. Sometimes it means you have grown tired of explaining yourself to people who only listen long enough to respond. And as they listened to someone confidently interpret your silence, they realized that a false story may be forming around you. That was the first warning. Someone has been mistaking your patience for permission. Someone has been treating your kindness as though it means you will accept anything. Someone has been watching the way you forgive, the way you remain calm, and the way you avoid unnecessary conflict, and they have drawn the wrong conclusion. They believe you will stay quiet no matter what happens. They believe you will overlook one more disappointment, excuse one more inconsistency, or ignore one more sign. But they do not understand the transformation taking place inside you. Heaven has been strengthening your boundaries in ways even you may not fully recognize. You are not the same soul who once accepted confusion just to keep a connection alive. You are not the same person who carried every relationship alone while pretending the weight did not hurt. You are learning that love without honesty becomes exhaustion, and loyalty without mutual effort becomes self-abandonment. Your soulmate has begun to sense this change. They can feel that your energy is no longer waiting in the same way. There is still love in you, but there is also wisdom. There is still softness, but it is no longer unguarded. There is still hope, but it is no longer willing to survive on promises alone. Today, when they heard someone speak about you as though you were easy to influence, something rose within them. They wanted to interrupt. They wanted to defend you. They wanted to say, "You do not understand them. You do not know what they have survived. You do not know how many times they remained gentle while carrying pain no one else could see." But they held back, because another person entered the conversation, and what happened next made the moment far more serious. This second person did not speak carelessly. Their words were measured. They asked a question about something that may soon be offered to you. An opportunity, an invitation, a promise, or a sudden change that appears positive on the surface. Your soulmate felt an immediate uneasiness. The question sounded harmless, yet the intention behind it felt hidden. They began to understand that someone may approach you very soon with words designed to create urgency. You may be encouraged to decide quickly. You may be told that the opportunity will disappear if you hesitate. You may hear phrases that make you feel as though you must prove your trust, loyalty, affection, or commitment immediately. This is why the warning is reaching you now. Do not confuse pressure with destiny. What is meant for you will not require you to betray your inner peace. A true opportunity may challenge you, but it will not manipulate you. A sincere person may ask for honesty, but they will not punish you for needing clarity. A divinely aligned connection may require courage, but it will not demand that you ignore every signal inside your spirit. Your soulmate could not explain why the conversation affected them so deeply. At first, they wondered whether they were simply being protective. Then they remembered something you once said, perhaps directly or perhaps through your actions. You showed them that when something feels rushed, hidden, or emotionally confusing, there is usually more beneath the surface. That memory stayed with them. They began connecting details they had previously dismissed. A change in someone's behavior. A question that appeared innocent but felt strangely specific. A sudden interest in your plans. A person asking about your emotional state. Someone trying to learn whether you still trust a certain individual. Someone wanting to know whether you are ready to move forward, let go, reconnect, or begin something new. These details had seemed unrelated. Today, they no longer looked unrelated. Your soulmate realized that someone may be preparing to influence a choice you have not yet announced. This person may not consider themselves harmful. They may even believe they know what is best for you. But their advice is shaped by their own fear, their own desires, or their own need to control the outcome. Listen closely. The warning is not telling you to distrust everyone. It is telling you to stop giving everyone equal access to your decisions. Not every person deserves to know what you are building before it is strong enough to stand. Not every person needs to understand why your heart is changing. Not every person should be invited into the private space where your next chapter is being formed. Some dreams grow best in silence. Some decisions become clearer when they are protected from too many opinions. Your soulmate understands this now because they once made the mistake of allowing outside voices to shape how they viewed you. They listened when others questioned the connection. They doubted themselves when people told them the timing was wrong. They allowed fear to speak louder than what their heart already knew. And though they may never have admitted it, that choice created a distance they still regret. Today's event awakened that regret. As they listened to others speak about you, they suddenly heard their own past mistakes reflected in the conversation. They remembered the times they hesitated instead of communicating. They remembered when they chose silence because they were afraid of saying the wrong thing. They remembered how they let assumptions grow between you until the truth became difficult to reach. Something inside them broke open. They realized that the warning they needed to give you was not only about another person. It was also about a pattern that had already affected your connection once before. The pattern of allowing uncertainty to become a story. The pattern of waiting too long to ask the question that could change everything. The pattern of believing someone else's interpretation instead of speaking directly to the heart involved. Your soulmate does not want you to repeat what they did. They do not want you to make a permanent decision based on temporary confusion. They do not want you to walk away from something meaningful because another person offered you an incomplete version of the truth. Yet there is more. After the conversation ended, your soulmate received a message. It may have been a text, a call, a notification, or an unexpected reminder connected to you. The timing was so precise that they froze for a moment. The message itself seemed simple, but it confirmed that the situation was moving faster than they realized. Someone had taken action. A plan had already been set in motion. Your soulmate stared at the screen, feeling the weight of all the things they had not yet said to you. For several moments, they considered staying silent. They told themselves it might not be their place to interfere. They wondered whether you would even listen. They feared that reaching out might reopen emotions neither of you had fully resolved. But the thought of you moving forward without knowing what they had discovered became unbearable. This is the hidden reason their energy feels closer today. They are not simply missing you. They are preparing themselves to speak. They have been forming the words in their mind, I have to warn you. Something happened today. Please do not make this choice until you know what I know. They do not know how you will respond. They do not know whether you will believe them. They do not know whether too much time has passed or whether the silence between you has created a wall too high to cross. But for the first time in a long while, their fear of losing the connection is becoming stronger than their fear of vulnerability. That is significant. For so long, they protected themselves by remaining unreadable. They convinced others, and perhaps even you, that they were unaffected. They acted as though distance was easy, as though they had moved on without looking back, as though your absence had become ordinary. It never became ordinary. There are moments when they still hear a phrase and think of you. There are places that feel different because you are not there. There are songs they avoid because the memories arrive too quickly. There are nights when they wonder whether you felt the connection as deeply as they did, or whether they imagined the entire thing because they were too afraid to ask. But today was not about memory alone. Today brought a realization they could no longer dismiss. They saw how easily a person can lose something precious by waiting for perfect certainty. They saw how quickly others can interfere when two people leave too much unspoken. They saw that silence does not always protect love. Sometimes it leaves love undefended. And now they are facing a choice. Will they finally tell you what they know, or will they allow fear to silence them again? Heaven is allowing you to feel the movement before it becomes visible. That restlessness you may have noticed, that strange sense that something is approaching, that sudden return of memories you thought you had released, these may not be random. Your spirit often recognizes a shift before your mind finds evidence. Still, you are being asked to remain grounded. Do not chase signs. Do not force contact. Do not make assumptions about every person around you. Simply become more observant. Listen not only to what people say, but to what changes when you ask for clarity. Notice who respects your boundaries and who becomes uncomfortable when you stop explaining yourself. Notice who supports your growth and who only supports the version of you they can predict. The warning is not meant to make you suspicious. It is meant to make you conscious. There is a difference. Suspicion closes the heart before truth arrives. Consciousness keeps the heart open while allowing wisdom to stand at the door. Your soulmate is learning this difference too. They once believed love required certainty before action. Now they understand that sometimes action is what creates clarity. Sometimes the honest conversation must come before the perfect answer. Sometimes a person must risk being misunderstood in order to finally stop hiding. Today, they reached the edge of that decision. They opened your conversation. They may have looked at an old message, a photograph, or your name on a screen. Their fingers hovered as they considered what to write. Several times, they began and erased the words. Nothing felt strong enough. Nothing felt clear enough. How could they explain that one ordinary day had uncovered so many hidden truths? How could they tell you that someone was discussing your future without your presence? How could they admit that hearing your name spoken by others awakened feelings they had tried to bury? How could they warn you without sounding jealous, controlling, or afraid? Because jealousy is not the heart of this message. The deeper truth is that they recognized something about the person involved, and that recognition came from personal experience. They have seen this pattern before. Perhaps the same individual once influenced them. Perhaps they remember being given advice that sounded supportive but led them away from honesty. Perhaps they now understand that certain people prefer confusion because clarity would remove their power. Your soulmate began to ask themselves a painful question: what if the distance between us was not created only by our mistakes? What if someone quietly encouraged the misunderstanding because they benefited from keeping us apart? They did not want to believe it. But the details would not leave them alone. A comment from the past suddenly made sense. A reaction that once seemed unusual now appeared intentional. A person who claimed to support the connection may have been planting doubt in subtle ways. Nothing obvious. Nothing dramatic. Just carefully chosen questions. Are you sure they feel the same? Why have they not reached out? Maybe you should stop waiting. Perhaps their silence is the answer. Words can shape reality when they are repeated during vulnerable moments. Your soulmate listened to those words once. They fear you may soon hear something similar. That is why this message carries urgency without fear. You are not being told that something terrible is coming. You are being reminded that your decisions deserve truth, not pressure. You deserve direct communication, not rumors. You deserve peace, not emotional games disguised as concern. And there is another layer your soulmate has not yet fully understood. The person speaking today revealed one detail they should not have known. It was something private. Something connected to a conversation, a plan, a feeling, or a choice you had shared with very few people. When your soulmate heard it, their entire body became still. They immediately wondered who had passed the information along. They wondered how far the story had traveled and how much of it had been changed. This is the moment that turned concern into urgency. Your soulmate now believes that something you said in trust may have reached someone who is preparing to use it, not necessarily to harm you, but to shape your next move. They may present themselves as helpful. They may say exactly what you have been longing to hear. They may offer reassurance at the precise moment you feel uncertain. But heaven is asking you to notice the difference between a person who understands your heart and a person who has simply gathered information about it. One brings peace. The other performs understanding. You will recognize the difference by what happens when you slow the conversation down. A sincere person will remain consistent. A manipulative intention will become impatient. A sincere person will answer your questions. A hidden agenda will redirect them. A sincere person will honor your freedom. A controlling influence will make you feel guilty for needing time. Remember this when the moment arrives. Your soulmate wishes they had understood these signs earlier. They wish they had protected the connection from voices that spoke loudly but loved neither of you deeply. They wish they had trusted the quiet truth in their own heart instead of waiting for everyone else to approve what only the two of you could understand. Now they are being given another opportunity. Not necessarily to restore everything at once. Not necessarily to promise a perfect ending. But to do one thing differently. To tell the truth before fear edits it. They have finally written the first line of the message. They have not sent it yet. They read it. Deleted it. Wrote it again. Then they stopped, because another notification appeared, this one from the very person whose words had raised the warning. The new message contained a request. A meeting. A conversation planned for very soon. And your name was mentioned again. Your soulmate's heart began pounding because they suddenly understood that the situation was not over. What happened today was only the beginning. Someone is preparing to speak to you, or about you, before your soulmate has the chance to explain what they discovered. Now they are running out of time. They know that if the other person reaches you first, the story may be presented in a way that sounds believable. It may touch an old wound. It may confirm a fear you have been struggling to release. It may make you question someone you still care about. Your soulmate wants to stop that from happening, but they are afraid their past silence has weakened their credibility. They are asking themselves, why would they trust me now when I did not speak before? Yet heaven is reminding them that truth does not lose its value because it arrives late. A delayed confession can still prevent a greater misunderstanding. A trembling voice can still speak with sincerity. A person who once chose fear can still choose courage now. Your soulmate is close to making that choice. And you are being prepared to hear them without surrendering your discernment. Do not accept every word simply because it comes from someone you love. But do not reject every word simply because it arrives after disappointment. Listen. Observe. Ask what happened. Ask who was involved. Ask why they waited. Let their consistency reveal what emotion alone cannot. Something extraordinary is unfolding beneath the surface, and the warning is only one part of it. Because while your soulmate was trying to decide whether to contact you, they noticed one final detail in the message they received. A detail so unexpected that it changed the meaning of the entire conversation. The person who had been asking about your plans was not acting alone. Someone else had told them to find out what you were going to do. Someone whose involvement your soulmate never expected. Someone you may still trust. And just as your soulmate realized who it was, their phone began to ring. They looked at the name on the screen and whispered, "Why are they calling me now?" Then they answered, and the first words they heard revealed that what happened today was not an accident at all.